Hell yeah. Glad to hear that, Doug. Good to hear, man. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 17th. We are live. Pre-market Live has returned to the normal space. Good morning. Absolutely insane day yesterday, guys. Roblox, Lucid, all just absolutely, fantastic opportunities that were A plus and paid absolutely in full. Locked a ton of gains on both. Do still have some exposure to LCID, as I mentioned. They are flushing it down here in pre-market, guys. You have to understand this pullback is probably healthy, right? If we were just constantly gapping up and, we were just, say we were breaking 63.30, right? We're going for all-time highs right now. I'd be a little bit more concerned for like a massive sell-off at open. When we flush in pre-market like this, it's almost how we kind of flushed at the end of the day yesterday, where we saw a big kind of flush at the close, right? We just kind of consolidated into the close yesterday, right? And if you were watching end of the day yesterday, right, you saw that. We just kind of were consolidating, quick flushes down to support, right? And then gap up and then, right? We're just flushing back down to our prior resistance, which is hopefully now going to become support. If this area becomes support on Lucid, right, which used to be our resistance, that is a very bullish sign, right? So yesterday, our resistance was at that 55.50 level. If we come back out on the daily, right, that was a big area for us, right? When we're talking in weekly terms, right, that's not a huge area, but it was a big area, right? 55.52, kind of getting over. That wick was huge at 53, and we established support at this 55.5 level, right? Because that was resistance. So going into open, this doesn't look great, right? This is definitely looking like a head and shoulders pattern kind of forming, right? However, I think that, I personally don't think this whole EV thing is done yet. I understand that, I might be wrong, but I still think we see one more blow off the top type move. That would be contingent on us holding the prior close. So if we can't hold 54.67, that's kind of where my blinders go up as far as, on the short side, right? And, closing out my long position. However, right, you have to understand that a lot of how Lucid trades today and tomorrow is going to be dependent on the options, right? Because the option market drives these type of squeezes, right? And, so if they add strikes and we see $80 calls come up, then you never know, right? For the time being, it's going to depend on how the open goes. Personally, when we flush down into open like this, that is increasingly more bullish for me for a continuation rather than, like I said, if we were just gapping up still, right, and it was like 63, 64, right, that would be like, okay, I'm definitely taking profit at open. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to kind of let things work themselves out. If we break support, we might flush down to 53 again, right? We might retest that 53 level because that was such a huge resistance in people's minds. We need to make sure that that is now support. And again, a lot of this is going to be dependent on how Rivian acts, right? And Rivian is going to be one of my top watches today because I personally still think this sees probably a blow off the top type move to 200 plus. We've consolidated down to support here at the 155.46 level. Rivian's been a little bit wicky with the way it's been kind of acting. So I'm going to look to add calls at 153.88. If we can't hold that level, then the short side of the trade comes kind of into focus under 152 for me. Under that 152 level, right? So confirmation under 151.89, that's kind of where I start looking at the short side of the trade, possibly looking at some 130p weekly, right? But for now, I'm still pretty bullish on the EV sector. Everything is kind of dipping down to support right now, which was resistance. Hopefully that is now support. When things are this hot, guys, they need to cool off a little bit. If they don't, that's just more unhealthy for the stock, and you see an even bigger correction, right? And that's what usually leads to these big downside moves. For the time being, the tape is still crazy on Lucid, right? I mean, this thing has a ton of volume, right? What we want to see is that volume stay relatively high, and we want to see, confirmation at that support level, right? And like I mentioned, guys, if you look, right, at the relative volume on the daily, right, that is an insane. Here, I'm going to clear the chart just so you guys can see. Like, look at that relative volume. I showed you guys how to set this up on Webull. If you watch the video, look at that relative volume, right? We're seeing huge volume, right? So long side, we touched 62, right, which was a huge level. If we can get the next resistance is 63.21 and then 65, right, which is all-time highs is 64.86. I'm going to be looking for a move over that. If we hold 54, they might flush this down to 53, it looks like. I'm watching the level 2 right now. They're definitely flushing it. And like I said, guys, that's kind of to be expected, right? Yesterday we saw that massive flush. This is why we take a ton of profits at the end of the day, because we lock in gains, right? And that's kind of how you do it. You don't want to be overexposed and, risk seeing the downside of the move holding your full position, right? So I'm not saying I don't think it can go more. It's only Wednesday. I still think those weeklies can print like crazy, but it's going to have to hold that 53 level because that was such a massive resistance that we need to make sure that level turns into support, right? So if you're looking at that, you can look on like the 30-minute, right? This 54 area was big. I would like this 30-minute candle to close over 54.30. Because that was obviously a big resistance as well that we were dealing with yesterday. I would like this 30-minute candle to close over this. If not, right, then the 52.8, 53 level is kind of like the next level that we're going to have to look at, as possible support, right? So, yeah, FSR definitely feels a little bit relatively weak. They do have a catalyst today at 4 p.m., so just keep that in mind. It's all going to depend how the sector goes, right? It doesn't really matter, the catalyst. It's all about the sector. The catalyst is a bonus. And Rivian is our market leader right now. Arguably, you could say Lucid is the leader, but Rivian is one to watch because if it breaks support, Lucid will likely break support, right? So I want Rivian to hold. I mentioned the key level here is the 158 level, 155, excuse me. It's holding 158 now. We want this 155.46 level to hold. I start looking at the short side of the trade under 151.80. And, under 151.5 is definitely my okay, this is where I'd want to go short, right? Because that would be now old support turning into new resistance again. That's not what we want to see. Or old resistance turning into resistance again, right? That's not what we want to see. If it holds that 155.46 level, which is our pre-market lows, I definitely think we can, 153.88 is our pre-market low. I definitely think we can see continuation to the upside. Getting out of the EV space momentarily, Boeing has a really nice price target upgrade. I'm going to be watching this very closely at open. 231.30 is my call trigger to the upside. Honestly, guys, in reality, I think this 230.47, which happens to be our pre-market high, is a fantastic trigger to the upside. You could look at the 235 or 237 call weeklies. The price target news is good. However, like I mentioned, I would want to see this level at 228 hold, right? So it's at 228.80 right now. Very intriguing setup for the morning. I'm going to post this as a focus setup this morning. Again, I think you could target 235 if the market is good. But, with how this market has been lately, for me, I'm just not sizing on the trades off open. Like I mentioned yesterday, I'm taking my time with things. That has been a way better process than trying to immediately jump off open. Even though it's like a minute or two, it's still just taking the time to relax. Like Lucid yesterday, right? We see that massive flush. Everybody's freaking out. I was worried for a minute because I was like, oh no, this is breaking, 47.30. That was my key support level. And then, I looked and I saw, okay, wait, we had this wick down to this level before. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, add these dips, and then I'll cut under it. I adjusted my stop, which normally is not a great practice, but I did it because I saw something that I missed originally, right? Which can happen. We learn new things every single day, right? So keep that in mind, guys. Your first read on the chart is not always perfect. Everybody misses things, even the people that spend hours and hours like myself on screen time. And that's natural and it's to be expected. So make sure that you are giving yourself ample time to chart out those levels and really make sure that you pull up that hourly, right? If you're going to set a stop, look at the hourly, ask yourself, okay, where has this stopped out? But where is this going to stop me out, right? Am I gauging my stop correctly? Because yesterday, I will tell you guys that, when I looked at LCID, right, on the shorter time frames. I think I looked at like the 5 minute actually. But I pulled it up yesterday and I looked and I said, okay, well, really, where has this wick down to? And this was right here. It was at the 46.50 level, right? We had seen these 3 wicks, and this was the candle off open yesterday. And I looked and I asked myself, okay, below this level, I can definitely see the short side down to 43, but it had wicked down, look at that, perfectly every single time to 46.35. And when I saw that, I said, okay, instead of stopping out at 47.3, right, they trap shorts off VWAP, off open, and then look at this, gap, 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 everybody's stuck, see ya, right? So as I mentioned, biggest thing I want to see off of open on Lucid quickly is I want this 30-minute candle to hold over 54.40, right? Because that was a huge resistance level yesterday. That is the key level that I am mentioning for the long side versus short side. Under the 53.32 level, definitely looking at a short side trade down to 50 possibly. If we can hold this level, then I'm probably going to look to re-add calls. So all right, so quickly I'm going to go over just kind of recap my focus setups off open. So LCID under 54.40, or excuse me, 54.40. Yeah. That's where I start looking at the short side. That's a no buy zone for me in this range. I would look to possibly add at 53.30 if we flush down to there. And then if we break below, then that's a stop for me. But that's kind of my levels. I'm not going to risk a ton here. It's been an amazing trade already. There's no reason to give any back. So sometimes double trading that same name can be really toxic. So wait for an A+ setup. Don't just take something to take something, right? That's what I preach all the time. Rivian is a big one. I think this offers a little more opportunity in my opinion. If we hold the 155.40 level, definitely increasingly bullish, especially that 153.88 is going to be the key, right? That's our pre-market low. This is going to be another focus setup for me. Long side focus off of 153.88. If we break below 151.47, that is where the short side comes into play for me. A couple other names, just updates. I'm holding Tilray Hexo. Tilray, I still think AMC sees a big move probably either tomorrow or Friday. I think Tilray should go off that. Those premiums will pop nicely when it does. Again, not a huge position for me, just a small little swing. If it pays, great. If not, it's not a huge deal, right? Big bidder in LCID now. But yeah, just a quick update on that. FSR, I'm going to try to let it work a little bit because I think the EV's flush now, and I still think there's another trade in here. I think this is a total short trap for the time being. If it breaks below those key levels mentioned, then I will admit I'm wrong. But for the time being, I still am long bias EVs. If we were gapping up into open, like I mentioned, I'd be a little bit more short bias. But, because when you see this big flush at open, oftentimes that can be a ramp to the upside, right? And it's just that time of year where these crazier things start to happen. Not that yesterday wasn't crazy enough, but I still think the market has a little bit more in it. So, yeah, I'll definitely do a level 2 video soon. I've been seeing a lot of questions about that, so I will do a level 2 video soon. I can cover that tonight a little bit in Technical Wednesday, excuse me. But, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and get the focus setups posted on Twitter and Discord. Again, guys, not a huge off-open watch list for me. It has more been like scaling out of overnights and then, waiting for the proper play. I am going to be watching Roblox again today off of strength. I will post that if I take a position, but primarily going to be watching that 115 level. Really, really strong strength yesterday. If we see a dip today, I think we could flush down to that 113 level. If we do, that's probably an ad spot for me. 113.92. So going to post those on the Twitter right now, and I will see you guys on Twitter and Discord today, and then on Technical Wednesday this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have an amazing day, guys, and I will see you guys on Twitter and Discord. If today's super exciting, then, maybe midday live. We'll see. All right, guys, have an awesome day, and I will see you guys on the Twitter. Peace.